Hello, welcome to the Scroll Ensemble Classical Music Improvisation channel. I'm Robert. In this video I'm going to talk about Quantz capriccios and how to improvise them. There are 11 of them, so we have quite a lot of material, but at the same time it's also still quite constricted. I used a new concept to approach this, in which I first practiced for 5 minutes, then 1 hour, and then 10 hours to see what would happen. I loved it, but more about that later. And next week there will be a video more in the form of a lecture detailing on how to improvise a Quantz capriccio. But this one is more about my process. You'll hear different versions of these capriccios and me thinking about how everything went. So 5 minutes was pretty stressful. Of course, I am familiar with the sort of genre. Only capriccio is supposed to be quite free, but it is also quite etude-like. Harmonically speaking, no surprises there. Motivically was quite interesting. So we had this start with these trills on quarter notes, and then we had sort of static 8th notes and 16th notes running around, and most of it was 18th notes and 16th notes, and there's that kind of ABA form where the beginning comes back at the end. One eternity later. So the overall form was pretty good. The beginning did come back eventually, and the beginning was also quite well constructed, two contrasting motives, and quite a nice modulation. Of course, then we got completely lost, even ended up in E minor. If you want to hear the whole entire recording, you can join us on Patreon, also with some more color commentary. So going forward, there are two things to look at. How does Quantz modulate, and what kind of typical figurations can I use to get into his realm instead of Telemann's? So it's an hour later, and wow, I didn't realize how much time these kind of analyses take. So there are a few forms that were interesting, and I think I want to do this AABB form, so then I don't have to think so much about modulations, and should not end up in very remote, weird places. The cadences that I'm used to doing a sort of Telemann-esque thing, or from the Hotteterre Prelude. Quantz often uses some other kinds of things, like a nice appoggiatura. So a bit more galant than I'm used to. Another organizing principle that Quantz uses a lot is a so-called pendulum, where especially with the tonic and dominant, like G and D major here. He just keeps switching between them, sometimes per bar, sometimes per 2 bars. And here are some little examples of that. I thought the prepared capriccio went quite well, but then as soon as I tried to do something else in that direction, I either got lost Scheiße. Or I realized I was actually doing another variation of it, which is probably not a problem. After 1 hour, it's probably just fine. I haven't really practiced, like just being able to improvise a whole movement or whole fantasias. Going onwards, it's actually quite easy. We just have to do what I've done so far. Oh yeah, very interesting was also, so this was in 3. I tried to improvise in 3 because almost all the time when I start improvising, it's just in 4, or I just get lost after a bit, and then it actually is in 4 anyway. So it's time for the concert. I kept working, basically analyzing a capriccio and then trying to improvise something like that. There are 3 basic forms. You've already sort of seen the ABA and AABB form in the previous bits. I wanted to look also a bit at the through composed form, and weirdly that was really difficult. I thought that was going to be easiest because you just keep going, but the way Quantz does it, it's mostly fast notes. It doesn't really modulate, it just uses these pendulums especially, and somehow I found that really difficult to improvise, being really used to just going into sequences. Another interesting element was also capriccio number 8 that I worked on, which has a very beautiful opening galant slow melody, which I don't really find in the other capriccios. Then I got sick, unfortunately, so I didn't quite complete the 10 hours. And on top of that, when the concert came, I forgot to press record. So, nevertheless, I have a reconstruction for you here that I made with my daughter, and also of the opening little talk, the introduction, because I always like to ask the audience for a little theme that I can use in the improvisation, which gives the audience the impression that it's really improvised, but also that they're a bit part of the music, and that they kind of understand a bit better what I'm doing with this music, because they've kind of constructed that theme themselves, so to speak. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to ask you to give me a little theme, a little bit of music, so I can improvise with that.
Definitely not me. Yes, yes, wonderful. No, no, no.
Go on, you can do it yourself, can't you? You're an improviser.
Oh, Kees can do music. Kees! Hey, Kees!
What? No.
Fine, I'll do it. What about dum bum 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 bum?
So that was quite something. I remember when I just played the concert, I was very disappointed because I just thought I had really failed. But then evaluating a bit more and especially having to, well, trying to reconstruct what I did, it was interesting to realize that although what I did in total wasn't entirely Quantzian, it was perhaps a step better. Not better than Quantz, but better than purely emulating a thing that Quantz has already done. So in this case, I took things that I knew already from my previous research that were just naturally inside of me, and things from my Quantz research, and that all came together in this capriccio number X. So I have allowed myself to take one more week for this because I think there's still some ties to end, and so next week I want to make a video really focusing on the Quantz capriccios themselves, how to improvise them, what are really elements that should be in it, and for myself also to take a few more steps, like to really be aware of phrase length. It went much better already in this last improvisation. This idea how to deal with the through composed sections, memorizing the A and the B was already, again, it was going better in my process, but I would love to just spend a bit more time. The cadences could also still be more Quantzian, and some more detail in various textures, like scalar patterns that Quantz really uses, and also the sequential ideas still often are from Telemann. I have seen some of them in Quantz as well, but it would be really great to be very aware of exactly what he does, and maybe there are still some new interesting corners to learn there as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, etc. And let me know in the comments your thoughts about this process, about Quantz capriccios, or anything else.